Okay, so again, they'll do this right now. You can see he's hanging on. Very dramatic rescue attempt by the Coast Guard.
It really is, and it looks like it's more than an attempt, too.
Oh, yeah,
they're doing
a fabulous job. And again, we don't know at this point how long these two people have been standing on top of their car in this area.
Well, it's been under for quite a while.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
if it hasn't been since last night, it's at least been since the wee hours of this morning.
Absolutely. Okay, the diver's coming back down the winch now, as you can see. So this will be the second rescue. And again, Amy, I want to tell everybody that you can see the diver. He's telling the winch operator what to do, where he is. They've done this so many times in real life and in practice, so they know exactly what they've got to do. And it's just routine for them, although it's still a dangerous situation. But they know what they're doing. It's just a matter, the dangerous part is the individuals, because they don't know what to expect.
Yeah. You know, we do stories every once in a while about these practices that are done by rescue officials like the Coast Guard, and this is why.
Absolutely.
Why do it.
All the time for situations just like this. And, of course, the individuals, they panic. They don't know what to expect. Now we've got the ring around him, and, again, the winch operator will bring him right on up, right to the aircraft.
Yeah. I tell you, I'd panic. I don't blame them a bit.
Oh, absolutely.
They're panicking.
And, of course, you can see the diver's got his legs wrapped around, just an extra safety precaution.
Yeah.
Just an amazing amount of circumstances that have happened throughout the whole area in the past couple of days.
How on earth did they spot those two little people down there?
I have no idea.
It must be the flyovers.
Well, that's what the CHP has been doing. They have been flying all over the area, and again, it's just a surveillance mission. They're trying to find if there is anybody that needs help, that needs assistance. That's exactly what they've been trained to do. Also, search and rescue, and that's exactly what's happened here. Very safe operation, and these two individuals are very, very, very fortunate that they were, first of all, seen, and second of all, were rescued as easily as they have been right now. They've gotten to safety. Now the aircraft, again, I would assume, will take them to a local hospital, and they will be put in the hospital and treated for exposure.
We got stuck there, and the water came up within, I'd say within 5 minutes, it was up inside the car, and within 10 minutes, it was up almost to the top of the roof. It rose very rapidly.
Very quickly.
Very rapidly,
And so what did you do?
We stood for 12 hours on the roof of the car, locked like this.
Hello,
Don't move, don't move, don't move.
It's your turn to move. If you see a helicopter, only one of us waves.
We had gotten off the car because they couldn't come close to the power lines.
Okay.
So we had to go to where the, whatever trees those are, and that's the ranch there, and we kind of hung on to those, and Marianne went up first, and then they came down and picked me up. And it happened very, very quickly. The Coast Guardman who came down to pick us up was excellent. I mean, he had us in the harness and everything within like 10 seconds.
What did you say?
Up.
Now we've gotten the ring around him, and again, the winch operator will bring him right on up, right to the aircraft.
Yeah, I tell you, I'd panic. I don't blame them a bit.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
panicking.
And we got in here this morning and said, do you realize what we just did? We just 12 hours on the top of our car and with water up to here, so you're not, and it's not a big area on the top.
We were lucky to get out of there, really. We felt very fortunate. I couldn't tell you what I felt when I saw that California Highway Patrol starting to circle us. Oh, that was the best feeling.
We're having a very dramatic rescue right now. This is Rob Marshall reporting from Air 10. There is one gentleman in the back of his pickup truck, and not only is the water coming around his truck and rushing quite fiercely around him, but also the downwash of the helicopter is affecting him. What should be happening here momentarily is once the helicopter's got the crew member right above him, the victim will actually grab a hold and they will bring him up. But it's a very dramatic rescue that's happening right now. And we're going to hold the pictures right here and let the pictures speak, and you can see exactly what's going on. But, of course, not only is this happening right here, but, of course, this is the problem all around the area around the Cosumnes River area, just because of the veracity, the fierceness, the swiftness of the water, how much water is actually coming through the area. But again, one more rescue is being attempted right now by the National Guard in their Black Hawk helicopter just to the west side of Dillard Road and 99. Just wait for him to go right on into the area, and it won't be too long before he's able to actually extract and bring this victim back up. All the helicopter will do will position the crew member right above. It's a very tough and tedious operation, especially with the trees around. But as you can see, the helicopter pilot is doing a fabulous job on positioning his crew members so they can get this one individual.
Rob, this is Jennifer Smith back here in the studio as we continue to watch this dramatic rescue. These guys really put their lives on the line to help others. But let's point out about the Cosumnes River, one of the difficulties, it does not have the same kind of flood protection that, say, the American and the Sacramento River have. There are no dams, there are no weirs. This is a free-flowing river, and it has definitely gone beyond its banks, and there's no way to control the flow of that water.
Absolutely, Jennifer. In fact, as we've been talking all day long, in many points, the water has actually gone over the levee. Now, because of the velocity and how swift the water is moving, the power that it's putting out has actually blown right through the levees, busting them wide open in many spots. In fact, if Phil will just widen out just a little bit, you'll see where the water has actually blown through this particular levee here. And this is I'm not sure how long ago this actually happened, where it blew through the levee. But we were out in this particular area earlier today where you saw that Winnebago that was just stranded on top of the levee. This is just no more than about 100 yards from that house that we'd seen earlier. But just the power, the absolute power of the water coming through here is undermining and going across and doing everything it can to break through on these levees. The water's just trying to go somewhere, and it's finding a place. Now here you can see the crew members now. Well, it appeared that he had latched on, but it's very difficult. A little bit of wind down there and just the swaying motion as the helicopter pilot tries to put his crew member right there so that the victim can grab a hold and can bring him to safety. And that's the primary right now, Jennifer, is just trying to get this particular guy up to the helicopter into safe ground.
I can imagine some hearts are pounding pretty fast right now, that man in the back of his pickup truck. And
there he goes.
There you go.
There he goes. Now, hopefully, he's going to jump on right now. Hold this picture. It's very difficult. A very scary thought that's happening to this particular individual right now.
Let's hope it's a good grip. It looks like he does have some footing there for a moment.
It appears that way, Jennifer. That's what I'm noticing also at the same time. It's just the main thing, Jennifer, is for him to get a very good hold onto the crew member, and then they can bring him up. Of course, they're in control. Or the crew member is actually communicating by hand signals with the winch operator up in the helicopter.
And we should point out Air 10 is certainly away from the scene. We have this camera that's able to zoom in quite a way, so you are in no way interfering with this rescue operation at this time.
Oh, no. We're about, actually, we're sitting at about 600 feet above the river right now, and maybe, a quarter of a mile away. So we have the capacity with the camera system to really get in and have the nice, steady, and clean shots. But no, the helicopter's right down below me. He knows I'm here. We have been talking, so he is very well aware that I'm right here, and just told him I'd be here watching his movements, and if there's anything that we can do to help him out, we can do that as well.
Rob, does it appear that they're trying to get to those trees and maybe put him in the trees as a higher ground, or it's hard to tell at this point?
It's hard to tell. I wouldn't suspect that's what's happening. What they might be trying to do, Jennifer, is actually get over to that solid ground so that he can get a better grip onto. As you can see, he's having a very hard time.
We can see he's on foot, though.
He is
running.
Foot.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
That's exactly what he did, Jennifer. Got him to higher ground, and he's just got a little bit, maybe about 100 yards to walk to complete safety and get up on the main road there where there are some other people standing by. They've got some vehicles there. So it appears at this point, at least this one particular individual has made it to safety, although his car, and it looked like he had a Harley in the back of his truck, probably won't make it through this particular levee break.
And there's a hero right there.
There he is.
Man who lowered himself, risking his own life to save someone else in these rising waters.
Californians are endowed with an indomitable will and a generous heart. Nature's worst, it seems, brings out our best. Heroes, like Staff Sergeant James Joseph Moore, a medic with the California National Guard. Now, 5 days ago, Sergeant Moore was in a decidedly more interesting position than he is tonight. He was dangling from a helicopter on 60 feet of cable, with high-voltage power lines close by, lifting an elderly man from his rooftop to dry land. If that wasn't enough excitement, 2 hours later he was at it again, this time plucking a large man from the roof of his soon-to-be submerged pickup truck. You should know that on the day before he went on duty that day, Sergeant Moore's wife warned him, I quote, "Don't be a hero." Sometimes we husbands don't always listen to our wives. We applaud Sergeant Moore and every Californian who showed uncommon valor in caring for their friends and neighbors.
We train for that all the time. The guys are really good. The pilots are great. The crew chief's great. The biggest danger actually would be the person that we're rescuing.
What did you tell him when he went off to work the other day?
Well, not to be a hero.
The people in uniform are trained professionals, but they certainly weren't the only heroes in the great floods of '97. When flood victims were in need, Northern California responded. Thousands of you volunteered to help. You saw your neighbors struggling, and you were there, day or night, no questions asked. You didn't do it for the recognition, but consider our next chapter a big thank you to all the everyday heroes in the great floods of '97.
Just to help out. Just wanted to bring some food down. Heard they needed blankets. We brought blankets and food.
Just to be nice.
These are our very good friends, and so they need some help, so we're here to help them.
Somebody needs the help, so we're not doing anything. We might as well help them out.
I just want to let them know we're here to help, and, you know, we're still close at hand if they need an extra hand.
We gotta do what we gotta do.
Because people need the help. If it was my home that was in danger, I'd want the help.
You know, no one else is going to help them out, so we're going to help them load up more furniture and get them out, too.
I love it. I said, you know, that shows you how the communities react to disasters and that.
Come on, Rippy. Hi, baby. Hi. Hi.
It's going to stop a lot of the water from covering the shop, and that's his livelihood, is the shop. That's where he makes his money.
We have 12 people living in our home from Modesto, so we're doing what we can to help out.
By the minute, Good Samaritans bring donations here. Food and clothing are piling up.
Just to help out. Just wanted to bring some food down. Heard they needed blankets. We brought blankets and food. Just dropping it off, and now we're going to try to go home.
This couple, appreciative. They lost everything when their trailer floated away.
We had like an hour to decide what we wanted to take and what we wanted to leave, and considering everything we owned was in there, it's not much time to pack things.
A lot of people, as soon as daylight hits, trying to go back into their homes, of course, are being turned away and sent back here, but they pretty much know we're here for them.
The town of Meridian, a vacant village. Residents gone, replaced by those here to save it. The floodwaters already here and rising.
I think we stand a good chance of holding and protecting the community here.
To do that, all the precision of a military operation, including a contingent from McClellan. No complaints.
Besides, I needed to work out today anyway.
Instead of lifting weights, you can lift sandbags.
There you go.
Every one of them a volunteer.
Because people need the help. If it was my home that was in danger, I'd want the help.
With this help, along with slower moving water, Meridian has a better shot at being a victory than many other fronts on the flood battle.
A frantic race against Mother Nature's wrath began this afternoon for the folks of the Dry Creek area as floodwaters marched into their neighborhood with the force of a well-trained army. With sandbags as their only weapon, strangers help homeowners fortify their homes, their lives.
Right now, my biggest worry, Deborah, is that the water will get to the second floor where I have all our possessions stored. It's pretty devastating. We're a large family. We have 8 children, and to think about maybe losing everything in this is pretty dramatic.
Rescue crews doing all they can to make sure everyone is out safely.
120-pound black retriever.
Even pets being saved from a river on the attack.
Come on, Rippy. Oh, baby. Oh, hi, baby. Hi. Hi.
Hey, George, you home?
Red Cross volunteers familiar with the area have been keeping track of those who've stayed behind.
We're just checking to see how you're doing.
They're offering a ride out if anybody feels so inclined.
So basically, I just want to let them know we're here to help, and, you know, we're still close at hand if they need an extra hand.
Many of those fleeing are crowding the Red Cross Evacuation Center at the Manteca Senior Center. After 3 days of housing less than a dozen evacuees, now there are nearly 100. The shelter is full, another being opened.
We fill up, everything else fills up. We're saturated to capacity.
To help the flood victims, donations are pouring in from others who feel more fortunate.
We have 12 people living in our home from Modesto, and they're all able to go back, and my neighbors have provided for them, so they keep providing, so we decided to bring them up here with all the people that have 20 minutes to leave. They're not getting nothing. So we're doing what we can to help out.
The moving water, motivation for helping hands. No one is on their own here.
This lady is elderly, and we have another house, 2 houses up, and they're in the same situation. They're elderly people who, you know, no one else is going to help them out, so we're going to help them load up more furniture and get them out too. So
Furniture moving and sandbagging, the order of the day.
Here at the Manteca Senior Center, the pain of the flood has been eased, however, by the generosity of the community. Food donations are running over, coming from residents and nearby stores. Other businesses have also opened their hearts and their doors to evacuees.
a daycare center just up the street here has opened their playground to our kids to come up and use.
I love it. I said, you know, that shows you how the communities react to disasters and that.
Neighbors arrived loaded with groceries, bath towels, even shovels. And when you ask for an explanation...
Just to be nice.
Friendly. These are our friends, and so we help each other. These are our very good friends, and so they need some help, so we're here to help them.
Throughout News 10's flood coverage, we received hundreds of phone calls from viewers asking how they can help those in need. But no pictures generated more concern than those showing stranded animals and pets that were left behind when evacuation orders forced their owners to leave. Thankfully, though, some of those pictures also included happy reunions between pets and their owners. We begin our next chapter from Air 10 above Olivehurst.
Rob, you remember this poor dog? He's been there since early this morning when we went on the air.
Absolutely. There are two dogs. One right at basically the mouth of the break that I understand from Karen Massey. They're sending a boat over to attempt to rescue that dog. We understand it's maybe an hour away from getting there, but at least they're on the way to try to rescue these dogs. So hopefully we can also alert them to this one over here in the Plumas Lakes area. All they have to do is look for a bright red roof, and they will find this Doberman who was stranded. But again, you know, you can see the dogs. They're calm. They have an incredible means that they can just kind of hang and understand what might happen.
Farmers rushing to evacuate livestock. Were you able to get all of them out?
Oh, yes. We're lucky to...
What do you do with that many sheep?
We've got trucks to come in and pick them up this afternoon.
Did you ever think we'd get to this?
Never did. Never.
Just over on the, actually the eastern side by the railroad tracks moving right through Marysville. 4 horses right now, 2 right here and a couple more up ahead of us. They're faring a little bit better than our dog that we've been paying close attention to all day, and I'm very glad to hear that Karen said that Animal Control is going to go over and try to rescue that particular dog. But it looks like these horses aren't having too much problem. They're just kind of meandering and walking on up, trying to get out of the flood zone and up to higher ground.
Their heads poke out from makeshift cages, looking for a familiar face. Most of these dogs and cats, even chickens and ponies, are lost, left behind when the floodwaters rushed in.
Maybe your mommy will see you and come and find you. Maybe you'll see on the television. They'll come. Oh, you're shaking. This baby's shaking so much.
Sybil Caldwell from Olivehurst came searching for her gray schnauzer.
Haven't seen a thing, but we're still looking.
United Animal Nations and a team of volunteers are caring for the lost pets. They've got 400 so far. They say hundreds more are still stranded. Among them, a Rottweiler named Tiger, belonging to 14-year-old Charlie Grewal of Olivehurst.
He's outside in the backyard.
In the backyard?
Yeah, and he's going to die without food.
No food and water.
So Charlie, like so many other pet owners, search the stalls, hoping someone has found their pet.
Hey! Hey, I'm sure this is her.
This woman's daughter and grandson lost 3 dogs in the flood, and sure enough, they found the 2-year-old named Faith.
Hi! Yeah, it is. Yeah, she's going home.
And a few feet away, Julie Gray found Dewey and Timber. They got separated when a levee broke a half-mile from their Marysville home.
They're just really good dogs, and they just stay right home, but I'm sure they sought shelter when they needed it, but they're just great.
And remember the woman who lost 3 dogs and found one of them? She just found another one, named Rosie.
You can see the fireman is out there on a raft. He's got a rope with him. They apparently somehow have attached the rope to that big old plant sitting right out there in the middle of the flooded area, and they are now dragging that whole thing in. We're assuming that when Bear finally arrives here at dry ground, he'll be happy that he was rescued. But that's what's going on. It's really rather remarkable what efforts people will go through to save an animal that, there you can see Bear. I'm seeing him here, finally, his head's poked out. I'm wondering what Bear is thinking right now as all this attention and all this effort is going into saving one dog who probably could have swam to shore no problem anyway, but this is what folks down here are doing. We don't want to make it sound as if other work is being halted here, but that is one of the things that is going on.
In charge of all this is the Emergency Animal Rescue Service of the United Animal Nations, veterans of 38 disaster rescue efforts from Hurricane Andrew to the Midwest floods.
We have goats, and we have pigs, and horses, and cows, and chickens. And
Right.
It's a farm. I guess we're a land Noah's Ark.
Here's a couple of dogs that had been saved earlier. I'm here now with Julius Mail. Julius, you lived out here in this area. You were one of the evacuees. Are these your neighbor's dogs, is it?
No, they're mine.
These are your dogs?
My dog, this one, and this belongs to my daughter. Yeah.
And they had been stuck out there in the floodwaters?
Yeah.
What are these dogs' names?
This is Yella, and this is Duke.
Yella and Duke. They're
Yeah.
safe now. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julius.
Yeah.
All that's left of many homes is their rooftops, and even those are disappearing. Chances of survival are also disappearing for dozens of horses and livestock that have been left behind, struggling to find some high ground, a place to rest. But one by one, they succumb. And the water keeps rising. Home after home slowly disappears. Down the road, another group of horses stranded near death. We managed to rescue this rooster, then pluck a dog from the water, who immediately seems to say thank you, realizing what nearly was his fate.
And Dana, we understand we have someone on the phone for you, Wayne Skosen, who has a message for you and for photographer Phil Desmangles. Wayne?
Dana?
Yes.
Well, that was my dog you saved.
Oh, wonderful. Have
Yeah.
you been reunited with your dog yet?
Well, I don't know where you took him. You got him at your house?
No. We did not bring him to my house. But I believe that Animal Control picked him up. I must tell you, when you see a Rottweiler swimming, you kind of have to decide whether you really want to bring him on board or not. But our guide, Jack Fiddleston, along with our photographer, Phil Desmangles, convinced me that, yes, it would be okay. It took all 3 of us to heave him on board because he is a big dog.
Funny thing is, he probably licked you to death when you got him in the boat. We had to open our business to get UB County some equipment on January 1st, and he got out of the gate, and we haven't seen him since until tonight. I saw him in your boat.
Wayne, I got to know this. What's the dog's name?
His name's Herbie.
Herbie, okay. Well, Herbie is adorable, and we're so glad that he's safe now. Many flood victims had only minutes' notice to evacuate their homes. They were forced to leave precious belongings behind. They fled to shelters, to friends' homes, or to stay with family. The worry built with each passing hour. What would be left of their homes, and when would they be allowed to return? As we continue the great floods of '97, we look at some of the homecomings, some happy, some devastating, all filled with emotion.
It's just fun to have everybody back. I mean, it's really exciting. It was tough to make the decision to send them out of town. And so when you get a chance to, wave them in, and they're so happy. It's wonderful.
Most of these kids spent the first days of the new year at Beale Air Force Base, along with thousands of other evacuees.
The whole crew, every one of them, we'd like to thank you very much. The Beale was super. You've got to go out. And they took care of the sick, and they bought sleeping bags.
Not everyone in the area is so fortunate.
My in-laws lost everything. We pretty much lost everything, our orchards, our houses. And so
We're here, though, and we got our dogs out, so we're okay.
Others who made it home are just glad to be safe and dry.
We get to eat some real food and sleep in our own beds. We've been sleeping on the floor. Everybody's got sore backs, but besides that, we're glad to be home.
The Rainey family had been away in Los Angeles when floodwaters swept through Wilton.
Daughter's collection of dolls.
They knew what awaited them today, and yet Gordon Rainey's wife could barely summon the courage to go home.
This was our dream home. Believe it or not, it doesn't look too good. This was our dream home. My wife and I worked very hard for that.
It was up to here, and this bird was hanging at the top, and that's how he lived. Because his cage was all in water.
I was worried about this. It was real important to me. And that's all that matters, is that we're all safe.
Years ago, when Gordon and Gay built their ranch spread, they knew it would be their dream home. Still is, they say.
Well, you just have to go on. Pick it up, do what you can, just go on.
It feels very good to be back home. It does. You know, now we're just going to listen to the news and try to make sure that if there's any other breaks that we're ready to go. We're not going to unpack. Our house is in disarray, and we're going to keep it in disarray until we know for sure that everything's okay.
Let's go! Hurry up!
This was the scene just outside Yuba City when the mandatory evacuation was lifted for the town's urban areas. A steady stream of cars stretching for miles. People returning home, leaving shelters and temporary housing behind.
I'm so happy to be here. It's like just driving down my street and seeing my house. It's like, you know, you can breathe. It's a very nice, comforting feeling.
For those returning home for the first time, it's a repeat of the '86 flood. For Jerry Williams, lightning does strike twice.
You got flood insurance?
Nope. Nah, just start all over again. That's all you can do.
It's a tragic, numbing way to start the new year.
So how did Northern California get so much rain? And why did meteorologists and public safety officials know in advance conditions were ripe for a flood?
News 10's chief meteorologist Joe Diaz, who began preparing viewers several days in advance of the floods, tells us how he knew it was coming and explains what effect, if any, the notorious El Nino and La Nina had on the floods.
The recipe for disaster started taking shape before Christmas as a series of storms brought abundant snow to the high country. Immediately after Christmas, a disturbing weather pattern was taking shape as a series of warm storms was lining up in the Pacific. That, coupled with dense snowpack and saturated ground, put flood officials on alert.
We're looking at something which could be the largest amount of rain since February of '86.
The storm started rolling in on schedule, with each one getting progressively stronger. Finally, toward the end of the year, a very strong, slow-moving storm system moved over Northern California, a storm that had tapped moisture from a Pacific typhoon, making it wetter than it would be otherwise. A storm that ahead of it had record-breaking temperatures and the ability to melt lots of high mountain snowpack. A storm that blew through high mountain ridges with winds gusting over 160 miles per hour. The 7-day rain totals were incredible. Four Trees and Bucks Lake each recorded more than 35 inches of rain. Both these areas feed the Feather River, an area which would later have a major levee give way and put homes just south of Olivehurst underwater. Places like Blue Canyon recorded 22 inches of snow-melting rain. The high country got very ugly as the American River turned into a violent rage, jumping its banks, washing out bridges, and pouring into area homes. As quickly as all of this poured into area reservoirs, the water came racing out toward the valley below. 20th century dams pouring into 19th century levees. The recipe for disaster would continue. Under enormous pressure, levees started to give way, first near Wilton.
It appears to be a levee that has broken through, and it appeared that this Winnebago was right on top of the levee beforehand.
Then in Olivehurst.
There's so much water still coming in to the Olivehurst area. It's just amazing as how much has come in so far.
Levee breaks along the McCullomy created havoc in a marina near Walnut Grove. In Modesto, the Tuolumne rose higher than ever before, 70.9 feet, nearly 16 feet above flood stage, damaging 700 homes.
Now do you think maybe it was a mistake to live here?
No, my husband and I built that house, so I'll be leaving it feet first.
But what caused the violent storm? Experts don't agree. Some point to a pattern called La Nina. Now, La Nina is the direct opposite of the more familiar El Nino weather pattern. The El Nino weather pattern was present from 1990 throughout much of 1995. It leads to a warming of the waters in the Pacific, and as the air rises off the warm waters, the storm track changes, bringing in more rain across the southwestern U.S. on into the southern plains. La Nina is the opposite. There is cooler water in the central and the eastern portion of the Pacific, warm toward the Orient, and the storm track changes to bring in more rain across the Pacific Northwest. Currently, we do have cooler water in the central and the eastern portion of the Pacific, but experts can agree on whether a La Nina is taking shape. So is this the start of a violent weather trend, or is it one of those major storms that appears only once every few decades? No one really knows for sure, but there will be more storms this winter, and with an overly burdened levee system, we will all need to stand guard.
We know that for tens of thousands of Northern Californians, New Year's Day 1997 will never be forgotten.
The floods that forced so many to evacuate and left many more with just the clothes on their backs will leave a lasting memory. As we come to our final chapter tonight, we know the book on the great floods of '97 is still not finished. We know the full effect of these floods will not be known for several months, if not years.
Our hearts and our prayers are with those families who lost loved ones and the thousands of families still left homeless. We leave you tonight with one more look at the most powerful images of the great floods of 1997. Good night.
If you'd like a VHS copy of this program, please call 1-800-570-5258. Proceeds from the sale of the videotape go to the local chapter of the American Red Cross. The cost of the videotape is $14.95 plus postage and handling. Allow 2 to 4 weeks for delivery. No COD orders. All major credit cards are accepted.
John L. Sullivan makes your money count. Get 3.9% financing for up to 60 months. Make your money count. It could save you thousands.
New fajita wraps come from a place where great taste is guaranteed. Where marinated grilled steak or chicken and roasted fresh veggies make your mouth water. Guaranteed. Where is this extraordinary place? Taco Bell. Introducing Taco Bell fajita wraps. So different, so unexpected, so totally delicious. They're guaranteed.
There's nothing ordinary about it. Wrap it up.
When you buy a car from Peoples, you're not just a customer, you're part of our family. Peoples is about people, and it's about trust. Our greatest asset isn't our cars and trucks, it's our people. It's not our selection, even though we have hundreds of cars to choose from. It's our people, because our people care. It's people taking care of people that's going to make the difference.
Good news for Tahoe travelers. Details on News 10 at 11.
Hi, everyone. This is meteorologist Joe Diaz with a river update. First of all area rivers are receding as we speak. However, it's been very high across the San Joaquin Valley, but we do have a couple of bright spots to tell you about. The San Joaquin at Vernalis currently at 29.9. The flood stage there, 29 feet, and it's forecast to continue dropping to be around flood stage towards Sunday evening. The San Joaquin River at Mossdale, it's dropping, well, it's dropping rapidly for a time today, but for the wrong reason due to a levee break there. Currently, it's at 22.2. The Tuolumne River at Modesto, the flood stage 55. It's forecast to continue to drop in the days ahead, rapidly at times, forecast to be at flood stage there on Sunday. There's your river forecast. Join us for the 7-day forecast tonight at 11.
These days, advanced technology gives you an edge, especially in news. Our edge is Air 10, the most advanced news-gathering helicopter in the world. Air 10 gets there faster, zooms closer, shoots steadier pictures, and broadcasts farther than any other helicopter anywhere. Which means if you want to see the best news coverage on Earth, you'll have to see it from the air.
Tonight at 11. Hello, I'm Alan Frio. Floodwaters breaking new ground in San Joaquin County, and they threaten another community near Tracy. We'll have live team coverage for you. Then, high waters claim another victim. Teams continue the search for survivors. Plus, good news for Tahoe travelers. A route to South Lake Tahoe open today. Where and how long will it take? Find out tonight at 11 on News 10.
Over 12,000 coats have been collected during this year's Coats for Kids' Sake Winter Coat Drive. If your family needs warm coats, they'll be distributed on Monday, January 20th at the following locations: at Cal Expo in Sacramento and at the Salvation Army locations in Stockton, Modesto, Antioch, and Fairfield. Distribution begins by 8 a.m. and continues as long as our coat supply lasts.
Moving huge levee break along Paradise Cut finally fixed, and that's channeling water back toward the San Joaquin River. And two other big reasons here. This water will slowly disappear. The tides are lower this week than they were sometime last week. And the river flows in the mountains have finally been reduced by managers of various dams in the area, the flood control project. Still, it could be weeks before all this water is eventually gone. And News 10's Cynthia Gao joins us live right now from Mossdale Crossing with an update on how folks in San Joaquin County are coping with the flood damage.
Well, Alan, indeed, many grateful residents allowed to return to their homes in the Western Ranch and South Manteca area. The good news is the San Joaquin River is below flood stage now. Authorities say that everything is under control, but they're playing it safe. In fact, sandbag crews continue to shore up the 8 miles of levee around Mossdale as PG&E crews fix broken power lines. There is still a mandatory evacuation order along the area of the Tom Paine Slough. That is MacArthur Boulevard to the north, I-5 to the east, and the 205 freeway to the south, and Paradise Cut to the west. But the mandatory evacuation order lifted for many parts of the South Manteca and Weston Ranch areas. For those allowed to return home, they're counting their blessings.
We're thankful that we get to come home. You know, we have a house to live in. There are many people who don't have anywhere to live, you know, so we are thankful that we have somewhere to come home to, and, you know, take it with a grain of salt and clean up and get back in there and live as best as we can.
Authorities report that the shelters are slowly emptying, and in fact, people here in South San Joaquin County are going back home and to pick up the pieces of their lives. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, the flood waters are finally receding, but there's a lot of water still left, though, as you mentioned.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Cynthia. Well, it was hard to miss it if you listened to the radio in the morning. Local stations did what they could to help with the flood relief. Listen.
We got the pledge numbers in here, Ed, right now. Okay.
We're told is with child right now. She had her own idea. She wanted to swim to shore, and that's exactly what she did. And she did so, by the way, with the help of deputies in a boat, safe and sound, back on dry ground now. Our picture of the day.
And other parts of the county. But homes and lives are still being threatened near Tracy. News 10's Deborah Hoffman joins us live with that story. Deborah?
Christina, water is still on the attack here in Tracy. The front yard of this home here on Delta is underwater, but sandbags are keeping too much of the water from going inside. Some other places are just not as lucky. But the folks who live here, the neighbors, are doing everything they can to put a halt to the destruction. It flows over roadways and into homes, surrounding lives.
It's just ugly. It's like a disease. It just keeps crawling on us, and we can't do anything about it. It's just the most powerful, helpless feeling we've ever had.
Get over the side. These folks not ready to give in to the destructive floodwaters. They had to be trucked onto this island of property, sandbags ferried in, all to fortify a hastily constructed levee.
We want to keep it off of people's property and at least save their homes.
Some of them have already lost their homes, but are determined to keep Mother Nature from claiming another victim.
Well, it's a community effort, like, you know, we all know each other. It's a small town, small area, so that's what it's all about.
Tens of thousands more sandbags will be filled before the people in the Tracy area will see any relief from this deluge. These pictures say it all, an ocean of water swallowing homes, engulfing prime farmland. But round-the-clock levee work is paying off. There hasn't been a big break in San Joaquin County since Friday.
There still could be problems in the future. Right now, we're out of immediate danger.
That means moving back in for the folks of Weston Ranch and Stockton. The voluntary evacuation lifted Monday morning. So the sandbags are being carted off, the furniture hauled back in.
Our lives were pretty much put on hold for the last nearly a week now. So it's just nice to try to get it straightened out.
It's just very tiring.
Tim? Yeah, thank you, Mark. We are on Airport Way, just south of Manteca, and it's obviously going to be some time before people can drive on Airport Way. A large chunk of the roadway has been washed out, and the water, as you can see, continues to roar through this spot. Mile after mile here near Manteca and also near Tracy, still underwater. Damage countywide is $60 million, but the situation is slowly improving. As levees are rebuilt, the water is channeled back into the rivers and sloughs, and the water is directed to the proper areas in the Delta. But some folks aren't out of the woods yet. Like the Gorders over north of Tracy, the water is still creeping into their backyard, so the sandbagging goes on.
No, the water isn't in. We've got it all in the back. It's really deep in the backyard there. And then we've got bags on the inside for the sliding doors. We don't know. We've never been through this before, so... Anyway, time will tell.
As we mentioned, $60 million countywide that damaged more than 500 homes, either damaged or destroyed. The sheriff's office has one other new concern tonight. People who are getting into their private boats and boating out into the fields like where we are right now. Apparently people are trying to get to their homes or property, and it's understandable they'd be concerned. The sheriff's office is very concerned, however, about their safety because it's impossible to tell what is underneath the surface of the water. It might be cars or fences or propane tanks. So the sheriff's office wants the word to go out tonight. Please don't get in your private boat and head out into these areas. They look like lakes, but they can be very dangerous just under the surface. Back to you.
You know, Tim, you said things are improving, but that scene behind you tells somewhat of a different story. That's a pretty good flow of water there.
Well, we can say it's improving because 2-3 days ago we couldn't have stood here. The water has dropped, but it is just remarkable the power of the water in this area as it slowly makes its way out towards the Delta.
Yeah, and that road behind it that's underneath the water, I guess they're going to have to make improvements to that particular roadway.
Oh, yeah, this road is going to be closed for some time.
For some time now. All right, thanks. Tim Daly reporting live. Lawmakers.
We have short-term efforts that are going on.
A lot of people's going to have to pull together to clean this up and to help everybody out.
The waters are slowly receding in San Joaquin County, but they don't seem to be any hurry to leave, and it will be much, much longer before lives are back in order. Thank you for joining us. It is hard to believe when you see those pictures, but the San Joaquin flood situation is better today than it was yesterday.
Should be even better tomorrow. That's because the water is slowly draining out of fields and homes back into the rivers where it belongs, and that could spell good news for people still flooded out of their homes tonight. Tim Daly joining us again live from San Joaquin County to bring us the latest. Tim?
Well, Dick and Jennifer, as bad as this looks here, it used to be a lot worse. We are south of Manteca on Airport Way, and as you can tell, boy, the water is just raging through this area, and the rest of Airport Way is completely gone. Still, the river levels here are slowly dropping. The worst does seem to be over. Some water still rages. Some is frozen in orchards. At the Islander Trailer Park, they're still surprised the water hit so fast and with such power.
I could have gotten a lot more out, but no one ever expects something like this to happen.
It's terrible. A lot of people's going to have to pull together to clean this up and to help everybody out.
But the news gets slowly better near Manteca and Tracy, where levees are under repair and the water is gradually channeled back into rivers and sloughs.
They start with the large boulders and gradually downsize the rocks until they backfill it and just turn it back into a levee again. It's a pretty amazing process, but those guys seem to be working well in those adverse conditions.
It could be days, if not weeks, before the water levels are seriously lowered. And Dale Kilburn doesn't expect to get back into his home at the Islander until spring. And then there's the Gwerder home north of Tracy, where sandbagging continues at a furious pace. One of the lowest spots in the area, the fight is far from over.
No, the water isn't in. We've got it all in the back. It's really deep in the backyard there. And then we've got bags on the inside for the sliding doors. We don't know. We've never been through this before.
A live picture again here at the end of Airport Way, what is now the end of Airport Way, south of Manteca. Countywide, $60 million in damage. 518 homes either damaged or destroyed. As you saw over in North Tracy, there is still water approaching some homes, so that number may go past 518. Dick and Jennifer, back to you.
Someday in the summer, we'll be forgetting those scenes, but it'll be quite a while, Tim.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Well, crews are working around the clock to repair that 900-foot-long break in the levee south of Olivehurst. Huge trucks are hauling in riprap and sand to fill the massive hole along the Feather River in Yuba County. About 150 homes in the path of the swift water were destroyed in the flood. 300 others have major damage. It's going to take over 100,000 tons of rock to repair the break.
We've covered approximately 150 feet out into the hole now. We're at a deep spot in the hole where with a big scour with about 50 foot from the water level down to the bottom.
And if the weather cooperates, it will still take crews another month to repair that levee. The federal government is now ready to free up funds to help improve California's flood control system. At least that's what Senator Dianne Feinstein told News 10's Dan Adams today. Dan was with the senator as she toured damaged areas of the Delta. And Dan, is it feasible to believe that the levees and dams might be getting some more federal attention now?
Well, it depends on who you talk to, Jennifer. Feinstein telling me today that the damage from the floods will give her ammunition to get Congress to beef up flood protection in Northern California. But the victims who have heard that talk before are less optimistic. Like the 200 residents of Vieira's Resort on the Sacramento River near Isleton.
It's really sad. It looks like a disaster area down there.
Still in water waist deep, they had no time to meet with the senator. But they had questions for us to ask her.
What they could do to prevent this upriver, you know. If we need another dam, then put it in.
Well, we need another dam up there somewhere, but, you know, we can't seem to get it.
Well, this is where we get into the controversy the minute you talk dams, and I think
we need to take a good look at all of the options.
What about those options? Well, during her inspection of the weakened levees and the incredible damage to Highway 84 near Rio Vista, Senator Feinstein addressed the flood victims' questions. Namely, what can be done now to prevent this from happening again?
There is a very real need for a major program of levee restoration, and it's got to move rapidly, and it has to get done.
Feinstein also leans toward more water bypasses, like the Yolo Causeway, for the Sacramento, San Joaquin, and Feather River systems.
Bypasses become a good option.
Surrounded by FEMA, Army Corps of Engineers, and Delta community leaders, the senator also says off-stream reservoirs appeal more than big dams.
You hold the water during the wet times, and you have it available during the dry times.
How ripe is Washington for projects like that right now?
Oh, in my view, very ripe.
There's no question dramatic scenes of destruction like this, and some of the stories from the flood survivors certainly left an impression on the senator. But still, even after today's tour, there is one question that troubles some of the locals. How much good do you think this tour is actually going to do?
Well, I hope it does some good. I hope it
gut reaction.
Well, my gut reaction is probably very little.
Well, the Rio Vista mayor bases his reaction on past efforts to get help, but the senator says this time might be different. That's because the flooding and damage are so extensive this time, it may be tough for Washington to ignore.
Well, that shot of you on the road there in Rio Vista, Dan, it looked like earthquake damage.
It did. It reminded me a lot of what we saw in Los Angeles. And Jenny, I don't know if you saw the story yesterday, but that's along that whole stretch that we saw where just beyond that section there, the entire levee's gone. Like a couple of miles of it are gone. So that's one of the better sections, I guess you might say.
Well, some pretty dramatic scenes the senator saw today. Thanks, Dan.
What else?